Hey everyone, this is Penny from Witch Astrology, and you may find yourself asking, how do I find my sun sign? Perhaps you have just met some fascinating new person who's talking to you about sun, moon, and rising signs, and you don't quite know what that is, and instead of potentially embarrassing yourself, you decide to silently work your way on over to Google. So we're just going to do that. And hell, maybe that's how you found me. So, what is my sun sign? Let's see, what happens when you type in that? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to tell you is that when someone's talking about your sun sign, they're really just talking about your zodiac sign. So let's try, what is my zodiac sign? And then we get some dates pulled up here automatically. So that is your really, really quick answer. If you just want to pick where your birthday is and be like, oh, that's my zodiac sign. I'm done. I'm good to go. But you might also still have more questions left over from this because, like, why are we even using the word sun sign? Why are we making it so complicated? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say about this is this looks good. These dates are accurate. They could still be a little off. Like, for example, if you're born on the morning of July 23rd, there's some possibility you might actually be a Cancer. And it changes slightly every single year. So you're going to find some slight variations there. So there's a lot of different websites I like to use. This one's more advanced. This is for people who already know how to read these things. And what are these called? There's a lot of words for them. Astrological charts, natal charts, birth charts. Right now, this chart that I pulled up, it's for the current date, July 25th, 2020. So that's what we have right here. I'm going to pull up my own website again and take you to the natal chart calculator I have there. And if we go to get your chart, so you're going to need some information about yourself. And so this is my actual birthday. I get some people asking and trying to guess what my sign is on my channel. You're about to find out. Most of you probably already know, though. So the location of birth we really just want for the sake of the time zone. And the exact time, it changes a few things in the chart, and I'll show you what. So if you scroll all the way down, your natal chart. So that's that same round chart that we pulled up before. But then here we have just the really simple laid out information. So my sun is in Leo. Now I'm talking to this like really awesome, well-educated astrology person, and they want to know my ascendant. And I say, oh, it's in Virgo. But hypothetically, what if I didn't know my time of birth? What if I just put like 12 p.m. simply because I didn't know? Well, this 11 times out of 12 is going to be wrong, okay? There's only a very small chance that this is going to be right, the ascendant, if you don't actually know your birth time. So if you don't know your birth time, you can pretty much assume that it has the wrong ascendant. The ascendant changes every 2 hours. So throughout the day, it cycles through every single ascendant sign. The moon sign changes signs approximately every 2.5 days. So it's most likely going to be right, even if you didn't know your time of birth. But as you can see, mine is at 28 degrees Capricorn. So that actually means that I was born on a day when the moon changed signs. Now, I was born in the morning, so it was still in Capricorn in the morning, but later in the day, it changed to Aquarius. So if I didn't know my time of birth and I put in like 5 p.m. or something like that, it would say that I had moon in Aquarius, which I don't. That would be inaccurate for me. So what else do we need to talk about here? Okay, so the sun sign, that's what we normally talk about when we talk about the zodiac sign. It affects your life at least a little bit more than all of your other planetary placements. And when we get really in depth with astrology, we even start to look into asteroids, which I don't think I currently have up here, but I can add that later at some point. So we start to look into asteroids and stuff like that. But kind of like how the sun just generally affects us a lot when we're on Earth, it's the same thing with astrology. So the sun affects all aspects of your personality in some way. It kind of shines light on them. It spreads its energy. And the ascendant is often referred to as being the mask that you wear. The moon sign, that is your emotional body. But I always think about it like your deep, deep self. Like when you're in those times of trouble, it's the part of you that not just comes out, but when you're really being tried and you're really being tested, the moon sign is what remains, what is there at your core and what's left of you, and how you can kind of pull through during those tough times. And it's a really important personal planet. So I have descriptions for all these on my website. And you can see you have the option to buy the full report if you want more information. Right now, I do only have the sun sign through the Mars sign available on my website. So you can also go to other websites. Like I actually like this one. I'll just type in this one, alave.com/free chart. And you can go here, fill it out again, same way. It'll give you some information for free. I think this one's the same as my website though. Like if you want more information, you can pay a little bit more money. And it's worth it because us astrologers, we do actually work really hard to type out everything for all 12 signs and create content for all 12 signs. Like we pour our love and our soul into everything we do with astrology. So another really popular one is called Cafe Astrology. And this one will actually give you like pages and pages of information. I don't even know where their chart calculator is, but you can do this. Cafe Astrology chart calculator and try that. So I answered, what is your sun sign? How do you find your sun sign? How do you know your sun, your moon, and your rising? And that's basically it. So I also have another video that I did about how to read a natal chart. And I'm not the first person who comes up, obviously, but I'll go over it with you again. So I explained this really quick in the other video, and some people got upset because I guess I just basically went through it too fast and I didn't give enough information. I feel like sometimes I just don't know what you guys want to know though, and it would help if I had people here live and I could just answer questions. I feel like I'm more smooth when I have people I'm talking to in person. But I'm going to go ahead and pull it up again and I'll show you everything that's going on. And hopefully you're not bored with me yet. Thank you for being patient. Haha. I'm hilarious, right? So entertaining. Such a great YouTube personality. Okay, it loaded. Okay, here we are. So this one actually has like a nice, great arrow right here. And that shows you exactly where the ascendant is. You know, as you already saw up here, my ascendant is at 9 degrees. 9 degrees Virgo. So great place for an ascendant, obviously, because it's mine. But the arrow is pointing to the ascendant. And then on the opposite side of the arrow, we have the descendant, which is always going to be the opposite sign of the ascendant. Normally in most charts, this would be bold down here too. And then you would see like the 4 angles of the chart. And this arrow at the top, that's your midheaven. So for some people, it might be a little more over this way, or it might be a little bit to the right. But either way, the arrow that's kind of up at the northern hemisphere of your chart, that is your midheaven. And that's a dead giveaway that this is the cusp of your 10th house. And that has to do with your career. So how are we going to start finding out the things that we actually want to know about this? Well, let me tell you, it's going to be a lot quicker for you because you have people like me who've already made YouTube videos about how to read these charts, and we made it like really quick and convenient and accessible to you. But learning to interpret them, even though we gave you like the ability to read it, learning to interpret it takes a long time. I do have not just videos on my channel, but I also have free content on my Facebook page. And then I have some content that costs a little bit of money on my website, obviously. But yeah, I have tons and tons of free content, like plenty. You could be up all night watching my content. But then we have the Venus sign here. It's basically just the regular female symbol. And that tells you a lot about what your relationships are like. And it's not just your romantic relationships, but it's also your love relationships. Oh, yeah, your love with your friends. Yep. Love with your friends. So it'll just basically tell you about how you relate with people, how you bond with them, all of that nice, pleasant stuff. So it's good to know about your friends' Venus signs too, so you know more like how to make them feel appreciated. But another thing you really want to know for your friends is their moon sign. How do you actually make them feel cared about? How do they cope with their emotions? And how can you understand that process and help support them as they're working through difficult things? That's why I made my series titled How to Deal with Moon in the Signs. And that's kind of like that practical information that I wanted to give people about how you can help yourself, how you can help others, how you can understand how your emotional processes are different from your friends' emotional processes, from your relationship partner's emotional processes. I think this is something that gets overlooked so much, that like on a deep level, we do have like a lot of different kinds of people in the world, and those strengths and those beauties really need to be appreciated and understood. And you know, everything has its beauty. So you see in the center of my chart, there's these lines, which I discussed in my other video very quickly in my little 2-minute video or so. If you want something that's that moves faster, feel free to watch that. And I have this big red line running all the way across my chart. That's called an opposition. So the longest red line that runs from one end to the chart all the way over to the opposite end of the chart, that's an opposition. And then you're going to see some shorter lines here, and that's just a square. So a square is like if you made 4 on all the kind of corners there, then you would have an actual like literal square. But I know that's confusing because you're like, oh well, I just want to draw the rest of the square. Well, I mean, there's no planet to draw it to in my chart, at least. So we're not doing that. But we call this one individual line, we call that a square. And then that big long line, we call that an opposition. So over here, we have more squares. Okay, and there's a lot more to get into here. That's part of what's hard about making these videos. I'm like, which topic should I even cover? I could be here all night. But yeah, so this is my Mercury sign over here, and Mercury has a lot to do with the way we communicate and the way we talk. And you can see it like in my little descriptions I wrote about Mercury placements. I got pretty passionate about it. Like, if you read the full thing, it's just like really bringing out your strengths and how you can use the power of your voice, and you know how you can influence and inspire people. So not only do we have the sign that's Mercury's in, which for me it's Leo. A lot of these websites, like especially alabe.com/free chart. My website is newer than alabe.com. Alabe.com is the first one I ever visited. So let's see. So alabe.com actually has a key at the bottom of it, and it'll show you the glyphs for the sun, the moon, all the planets, and then all the signs. So it might take you a while to remember these and you'll have to refer back to them. But then you also have like all this up here, which gives you all of the information that you need. But yeah, so in addition to the signs, which we have on the outer ring of the chart right here, we have the houses kind of moving into the center of the chart. And you can see they're numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it goes all the way back to 12. So directly above the ascendant, you're going to have the 12th house. Directly below the ascendant, you're going to have the first house. And it goes counterclockwise the whole way around. You might at some point hear someone use the term the natural zodiac. What is natural? What is the natural way to be? And what that means is that all of the signs are in their corresponding house. So Aries is the first sign of the zodiac and it rules the first house. So that would mean that Aries would be all the way over here in the very first house, and then the second house would be Taurus and Gemini and then Cancer, and it would basically just go in that order. But look at me, I'm unnatural. I'm clearly a freak because I'm a Virgo rising. And by the way, I'm totally just kidding. Like, there's nothing wrong with being a Virgo rising. But yeah, so we have, you can tell on my website, like I prioritized writing descriptions for the personal planets, and I haven't written descriptions for any of the outer planets or asteroids just yet. I do have other content on some of the asteroids available elsewhere. But the personal planets, these are things that change fairly often. So you've probably already realized that the zodiac sign / sun sign changes. I feel so weird using the term zodiac. Like, I'm sorry, like that's not a term that astrologers usually use. The zodiac kind of just encompasses like everything that this is. The term zodiac sign like sounds a little awkward. So now that you know, you can just refer to it as sun sign. So the sun sign changes about every month. It's not consistent with the month though. Like not all of August is Leo, not all of September is Virgo. It changes towards the end of the month, like around the 22nd, 23rd, depending on which month it is. And then the ascendant changes faster than anything else. It changes every 2 hours. The moon sign changes every 2.5 days or so. And then Mercury moves a little bit faster than the sun, but then it also goes retrograde. So in astrology, even though it's not technically going backwards, we interpret that as Mercury going backwards because it appears to be going backwards. And then the Venus sign changes a little bit slower than, it's a little bit faster. I think it changes a little bit faster than the sun sign, but it also goes retrograde, and it'll, you know what, like the pace of it, I'm pretty sure actually changes throughout the month. That's what's actually going on. And then the Mars sign, Mars can be pretty much anywhere throughout the year. It doesn't move that fast, but it is considered to be a personal planet. So all of these are personal planets basically because they are unique to you, and the outer planets are unique to your generation. So for the most part, all the people you went to school with have all of these: Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. They're all most likely in the same sign. Jupiter changes signs about every 13 months. Yeah, it's like every 13 months. So everyone who's in your same grade as you growing up has the same Jupiter sign. But the people in other grades probably have different Jupiter signs. So like when we talk about the personalities of generations, what we're really talking about is this Uranus, Neptune, Pluto type of combination. And it does vary a little bit. Like there are millennials who have Uranus and Neptune in Sagittarius, whereas mine are in Capricorn, and I'm a millennial too. But I made another video basically talking about how millennials are so heavily influenced by Capricorn energy, whether it's that they have Saturn in Capricorn or Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn like I do. And yeah, Pluto changes slower than all of those. So these are, once you get down to here, these are in order of how fast they move. Mercury moves faster than Venus, and Venus moves faster than Mars. So that's kind of like a quick way to absorb that little tidbit of information. But yeah, so the personality of our generation. And then when you look at them in your own chart, so this is Uranus and this is Neptune, you find them down here. And even though everyone else in my generation, well, the specific year I was born, more accurately, not just my generation, everyone else who is born the same year as me, they have Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn. Even though they have that, and even though they have Saturn and Aquarius, in my chart, you can still see the specific position it's in. Like, for example, it's in the 5th house. That shows how I express those generational traits that I possess. And then in addition to that, you can look at the lines that connect it to other planets. So like, how does it interact with my Jupiter? Well, it interacts in harmony with my Jupiter because we have this blue line, which is a trine. So for the most part, you can take note that blue lines are harmonious aspects and the red lines are difficult aspects. And I always like to emphasize that it's not bad to have oppositions in your chart, and it's definitely not bad to have squares in your chart either. Things that make your life difficult don't make your life bad. Like, I think that's just kind of something we need to progress on and come to a better, more whole understanding. Sextile, so that's the shorter blue line, shorter from the trine. A sextile, these little lines right here, it's similar to a trine because it's also a harmonious aspect, but it's more of like a really quick interaction. So you can see a lot of times when people have either something that is impulsive or instinctive going on, it's because of the sextiles that they have in their chart. It's like a very kind of quick interaction. So you can probably see like the way this plays out even in some of my videos. Like, I have these sextiles to Pluto in Scorpio in the 3rd house. And then it's like sometimes I just like really kind of end up saying things that are really intense, and sometimes even they can even be a poor use of words, even if I say them with confidence, just because like I don't take the time to like hold back the power of my words a lot of times. Like, I just kind of like let it out. And yeah, and then there's some other stuff going on. Like, I have the sextiles to Mercury too. So you can see that I can be kind of quick to communicate. I can be kind of quick to express my opinion. But then you also have to factor in these other types of personality traits. Like, I have my rising sign in Virgo and I have my moon sign in Capricorn. Well, those are a little more restricted. So then, like, as you're learning astrology, you have to decide, well, is she going to be more shy, or is she going to be like too talkative at times? Like, especially since she has her Mars sign in Gemini. You know, Mars is your energy and the vibe you give off, and it's like a very fast moving and competitive type of planet. And Gemini is the most talkative sign. So like, which is it really going to be? How is that actually going to affect this person's personality? And that's part of the reason why it takes so much profound understanding to truly get an idea of how someone's natal chart affects them. And honestly, everything just comes down to kind of like doing some math in your head and imagining what types of decisions the person who has this chart must end up making. And even the best astrologers, every now and then we're going to get a few things wrong. One thing that I like to emphasize about astrology is this is the chart that you were born with, and you didn't really, from my understanding, you didn't have control over your birth. Like, I've heard some theories about it, like we choose our incarnation, and I do agree with that. But I also believe in free will. Well, obviously that sounds like it's free will too. I don't even know where I'm going with it at this point. But when I look at astrology, I usually consider it to be something that does not account for free will. Like this is the hand you were dealt. This is basically the resources you were given in this incarnation. And then once you're incarnated and you come to Earth, you start to be given decisions and options that you can make. But different people are given different decisions and different things they have to choose between, and different circumstances they have to figure out a way to confront. So the astrology chart doesn't necessarily tell you what decisions people have made, but it can help give you context into what influences the decisions they make. Like, how do their emotions influence their decisions? How do their desires, whether they're like romantic desires or more like instinctive primal desires, how do their desires influence their decisions? And then you can start to answer those types of questions. And that also makes astrology something that really pairs beautifully with the tarot. Because when you shuffle the cards and you get answers from shuffling the cards, that does factor in free will. That factors in decisions that were recently made, that are currently being made, and sometimes that will be made in the future. So that's kind of an understanding of astrology and what it is. And I know kind of like way more information than you were even expecting when you looked up this question of, what is my sun sign, or what is my zodiac sign? But now you also know what your moon sign is. You know what your rising sign is, which, by the way, rising sign and ascendant are the same thing. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. And if you hear someone say, oh, I'm a lunar Capricorn, that means they have their moon in Capricorn. So if your moon is in Sagittarius, you can say, I'm a lunar Sagittarius. And if you want to get a lunar Sagittarius hoodie, then you can get my moon in Sagittarius hoodie, which I have linked below. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again. Bye.